Alright, you guys, before the episode starts, I just want to be upfront with you. I dyed my bed. You see, it used to be blue, but I just dyed it purple because I think it looks better. Anyways, enjoy the video. I rebuilt every Minecraft biome in Minecraft Hardcore, and you're probably wondering why. Well, you see, this is my base. It's called the Undergrove because it extends way into the ground and kinda looks like a tree. But just like me trying to explain to my grandmother that doing YouTube actually is my job, it doesn't make sense to base an entire mega build off of a tree. And while this is definitely a good start, I think the idea of eventually turning the Undergrove into a massive underground museum is really cool, starting right now. The first thing any proper museum needs is a cool entrance, because if it doesn't have that, why would I even want to go in it? So I started the expansion. At first I kept with the same organic tree root design I had been using, but quickly changed things up and started digging out a giant staircase. But I quickly noticed I was out of beacon range. And since Haze 2 is quite literally my livelihood in this world, I set off to build another beacon. Okay, but seriously, have you ever seen so many creepers on one screen? What the hell is this? Holy God. And I could have swore this hole had water at the bottom, but then this happened. Oh, okay. About that. From there, I got to work collecting materials, keeping things pretty simple with sandstone and a bunch of different wood types like oak, spruce, dark oak, and birch. Yeah, that's right, gamers. It only took me a little over a decade, but I finally grew the hell up and found a use for this godforsaken wood type. Now, normally I would take time to design something like this in creative mode ahead of time, but I was feeling spicy today, and I'm glad I did, because I trusted my gut, and I think this build looks absolutely amazing. I wanted the entrance to feel grand and big, just like you'd expect from a proper museum entrance. And once the staircase itself was done, I began shaping an archway which would serve as the grand entrance, starting with sandstone and transitioning all the way down into dark oak. Oh yeah, this is looking so cool. And now that the museum entrance is done, it's time to start building some biomes, starting with the snowy biomes. First thing we'll need is a lot of snow, and ironically we're not going to go to the snowy biomes to get that, because I have a much better idea. So I guess we'll try and put this guy like maybe over in this corner somewhere. I don't really have a good spot. This should be good. So if we do this, hey, there we go. We should have a new friend to help us out. Okay, hang on a second. This is giving me snow layers. I need actual snowballs. So I continued digging until I had a full shulker box of snow. Next up, I need ice, a lot of it. Now I think over this way is actually an ice spikes biome, so I can get a bunch of ice there, and I might as well study how the ice spikes look, because I gotta build those anyways. Okay, I lied. It's a frozen ocean, but still, same thing. Well, I found an ice spikes biome, but this is kind of underwhelming. I feel like they're usually bigger than this. Ah, yes, here it is. This is what I was actually thinking of. Okay, so now we can go ahead and snag a couple of screenshots while we're out here. And on the way home, there's just a couple more things I want to grab. We'll go ahead and snag some of this actual grass. I've never built with this before. And then a couple of flowers. And just like that, we should be ready to start building. So I got to work clearing out the tunnel space to start building up these biomes. Now, I've seen a lot of YouTubers recently recreate biomes themselves, and one thing I've noticed is that they all seem to just put the biomes in these little exhibits that are just kind of like cubular and square, and it's just kind of weird, I think. So instead, I want to build all the biomes in a series of tunnels that transition from the cold biomes into the warm biomes into the mountain biomes, and have it all flow nicely like a museum should. And after messing around with the design for a bit, I'm left with this, which I think looks pretty good, except I think it's a little bit too small, actually. I want these biomes to be pretty big, because the reality is that a lot of them have pretty big structures inside of them. I mean, let's be real, if I want to build a mountain biome in here, I'm gonna have to make this a lot taller. So the first biome we have in here is the snowy plains. This is pretty basic, pretty boring. And then as I go into here, I have a frozen river, which technically is a biome. And then over here, I want to make this into a snowy taiga. Hey, there we go, that looks good. From there, I got to work on the Ice Spikes biome, which is basically the same as any other snowy biome, but it has these ice pillars that are really tall and awkward, kind of like me in real life. Now, personally, I've always thought these look quite derpy, but who am I to judge? I mean, I just work here. With the snowy biomes complete, it was time to move on to the second set of biomes to build, which is the mountains. Now, you're probably wondering how I'm gonna actually build mountains here underground, and that's a great question. There are 4 main mountain types in Minecraft, but that didn't matter right now. All I knew was that I had to clear out a massive room large enough to build 4 mountains and make it look at least semi-realistic. Yeah, build an underground mega base, they said. It'll be fun, they said. I didn't want the terrain to be flat, so after going through and carving out a natural slope to the landscape, I started laying out the wireframes of the mountains. And after seeing these 2 derpy triangles just sitting there, it really set in how large this room was going to have to be to make any sort of sense. But after expanding out more of the room outward, I had an idea. So I think we'll go ahead and build a spruce pathway through these imaginary mountains here. And then once the pathway is in, we can go ahead and kind of shape the mountains around it. I'll tell you what, this was a good idea because once I had the central pathway put in, I could carve out and build the terrain around it, which would help give me a true sense of scale. And after shaping out more of the terrain, I was ready to continue shaping and filling in the mountain peaks. Things were looking up, and I finally felt like I had a handle on these mountains until I actually looked at them. Okay, yeah, this is good, but they're a little bit too samey right now. They're all the same height, and that's not good. So up into the ceiling I went, raising things up by a few blocks and adding in a more natural shape. Now I could finally raise the heights so that each mountain gets taller and larger as you walk throughout the room. With the shaping complete, it was time to decorate, starting with the Jagged Peak, which is basically a pointy stone mountain with a lot of snow mixed in. Continuing along with the Frozen Peak, this mountain is covered with packed ice and snow, and while I know the real ones aren't steep like this, I literally don't care that it bothers you. And finally, my favorite of the mountain biomes, the Stoney Peak. This one's cool because it has things like calcite, granite, andesite, and even emerald ore mixed in to provide some detail. If you're confused now because you thought I said there were 4 mountain biomes, good job listening, you get a gold star. The last mountain type is the snowy slopes, which are basically just these smooth snowy hills that generate below the actual mountain peaks, so they're not really a mountain if you ask me. Anyways, I went through on the opposite side of my pathway and filled in the area with this sloping snowy hill. But since these mountains were surrounded by a large room made entirely of stone, they didn't really stand out. I mean, they actually just kind of looked boring and not that good. So after collecting a bunch of materials, I got to work replacing all of the walls and ceiling with deep slate because I figured it would be a nice contrast to all the things that I built in here. And going through finally with an archway which would lead to the next part of the museum, the mountains were officially complete. And there we go, my friends. This area is looking really cool so far. I think the deep slate adds such a nice contrast so we can actually see what these mountains look like. And finally, there are 4 more cold/mountain-like biomes that I want to build, and I want to surround them by a body of water in the middle. But yeah, it's going to be a lot more digging, so here we go. Oh, scary cave, it's fine, I'm fine. Yeah, I definitely haven't been watching Stranger Things the last 3 days, and I'm not scared of every moving thing in the world right now. No, that's not me. What in the hell? Oh my god, that scared me. How did he even get here, dude? The biomes that I want to build in this room are pretty much gray and white like the ones I've been building. So I want to go ahead and decorate this like another exhibit, kind of like the deep slate I used over here. I'll start the ceiling off with some more sandstone, and then we'll keep going with that gradient from sandstone into like the spruce or dark oak wood that we used before. Oh my god, this is such a pain in the butt to place down. I also went through and added in the centerpiece of the ceiling with some hanging lanterns. There we go, I think that looks really good, and we'll carry things along with some birchwood. From there, I continued the gradient with the oak wood, and after spending even more time chopping down dark oak and spruce trees, I was ready to go ahead and finish off the ceiling. From there, I continued expanding a massive room out below. Seriously though, why did I sign up for so much digging? This was a terrible idea. And now that the room is basically dug out, I want to go ahead and start converging the center area down into a central body of water. Around this body of water, I want to have 4 biomes: the taiga, the snowy beach, the stony shore, and the meadow biome. Starting things off with the snowy beach biome, I transitioned the snow into grass, into eventually sand, and then went back through and covered all of it with snow. I mean, yeah, that's basically it. This biome is pretty boring overall. Next up, we have the stony shore, which is when a mountain meets a body of water. So basically, I want to go ahead and transition this mountain range into this eventual body of water here. After steepening out this corner, I went through and found a better shape for the body of water in the middle. And from there, it was just a matter of building back up the wall in a way that looked like it was a natural cliff face, and then transitioning that into the mountain on the other side. Next up is the taiga biome, which basically means I'll need a lot of podzol. So the question now is, do the tall spruce trees, okay, they do grow in here. Nice, that looks good. Well, it doesn't look good, but it fits the biome, that is. Now we'll go through here and place in some of these mossy cobblestone pillars. I'm not sure why these are in the forest, but they kind of look good, I guess. And lastly, some brown mushrooms. And finally, we have the meadow biome, which is basically just a plains biome that is kind of near a mountain and higher in elevation. So we'll go ahead and connect that over to this mountain right here. And while I do that, please subscribe. And after all of this work, I have 12 biomes officially built, which at first glance does kind of sound like a lot, but there's still 19 more to go. So yeah, lots of work to do here. My pickaxe, I just threw it. Why did I throw that? After spending some time digging and shaping out the cave to fit my liking, I was ready to begin working on the next biome, which is going to be the plains biome. Okay, so for this, I'll need some more grass for sure, a bunch of regular ice, you'll see why in a minute, saplings, some more sunflowers, some cobblestone, and a bunch of oak wood. So the plains biome is basically just a meadow biome, but it's lower in the world, and there's a couple other differences, but that's about it. So that's why over here I built this little cliff face next to the meadow biome to kind of signify that we've gone down in elevation. And I think like right here, I want to go ahead and add like a generic villager house. I feel like that would look pretty good in here. Hey, yeah, that looks pretty good. And by good, I mean it looks bad because regular village houses, they kind of look bad. So I went through and added a bunch more detail with mossy stone brick, moss, and some leaves to add a nice green color and transition the green grass into this stone up top. It was time for the next biome, but first that meant more digging. You know, what if I actually just turn this big, huge cave into the forest biomes? Because forests are kind of big and large and dense anyways, kind of like my brain. Yeah, no, that should be good. I actually quite like the size of this thing. Honestly, anything to save me some digging at this point. I'll take it. I'm desperate. Once the general shape of the room was how I wanted it to be, the only real challenge was making this place look like it's not a giant dripstone cave, which is hard because dripstone is literally everywhere. First things first, I'm going to need a lot of grass. Why do I hear a cat? Where's this cat at? Hang on. Kitty! Oh my god! What are you doing? You're so cute! Get in here! Get in here! Get in here! Yeah, hey, there we go. I got a cat! Hey, I got a cat in here. Let's go! From there, I had the idea to turn part of the forest into a flower forest because I already had the space, so why not? But I needed all the flowers, so I set off to find my own. Alright, there we go. I think once all the grass finishes spreading through here, we'll have a pretty complete forest. And finally, after doing a lot more digging, I got to work collecting materials for my favorite biome in the game, the dark oak forest. Keeping things pretty simple here, I wanted to build up the tree trunks along the outside of the biome and then have the leaves extend into the middle as if they were some sort of a roof over top. There we go. This is looking really good, really immersive. I'm really liking it. And with the dark oak biome complete, it is time for a trip out to the swamp, which mind you is not very close at all. While I was there, I really tried to collect all of the individual items that the Minecraft swamps have to offer. Things like lily pads, blue orchids, dead bushes, sugarcane, brown mushrooms, a couple flowers, some vines. I mean, everything is so detailed. I also paid attention to the landscape to make sure I knew what made a swamp swampy, if that makes any sense. Okay, so the bottom is mostly dirt with little patches of clay mixed in. I think that's about it. And finally, I could return home and begin building. But first, a word from our sponsor. With 21 biomes fully built, I was approaching the home stretch as I only had 10 more left to create. And this is usually the point in the video where I see the light at the end of the tunnel and get excited about the finished product. And don't get me wrong, I was loving the build so far, but I was starting to feel a little bit burnt out from all of the digging that I was doing. The whole process just felt tedious and a bit repetitive. So after taking a day off, I came back with a fresh mind and decided it would be best to head out and collect all of the materials for the remaining biomes at once, especially since they are all vastly different in their components and I did not want to have to do this multiple times. Starting with the jungle, where I collected bamboo, cocoa beans, melons, as well as a bunch of jungle wood and leaves. You know, I've played in this world for nearly 1,000 in-game days and somehow I've managed to only collect 18 jungle logs, which is really embarrassing. But not as embarrassing as my next pit stop, the Mushroom Island. You know, I live less than 2,000 blocks from this and I think I've been here like maybe once. Anyways, after collecting a bunch of mushrooms, mycelium, and drinking this really weird milk, I stopped by the ocean to grab loads of coral. On the way back, I passed a shipwreck and had the idea to destroy the entire thing and put its contents in a shulker box just in case I wanted to try and build it later in the water biome. And I guess stopping here was a good idea because I managed to get a trident from this drown. So let me know what to do with this thing because I am actually clueless. And from there, I just had a couple more stops to make, starting with the Mesa, where I collected a few stacks of each color terracotta. And finally, after getting some red sand and deforesting the nearest Acacia Biome, I set off for home. After spending a while digging out another large section of the cave, I got to work on the next couple biomes, starting with the jungle. Filling in the floor with grass and then going through to build various custom jungle trees with vines hanging down, I went through with the melons and the bamboo for some detail. But the area was still lacking character, and after spamming a bunch of leaves on the floor and along the walls, I was happy with what I had created. And what better of a way to ruin the beautiful, lush green vibe that I worked so hard to build than to place in a bunch of ugly mycelium with my next biome, the mushroom fields. There's no way around it, this looks pretty ugly, but then again, I don't really know how to make it not ugly, so let me know if you have a fix for this, but probably not. From there, I got to work building up the beach biome. Now, there's nothing really special here, it's literally just a few layers of sand surrounding a body of water, which, speaking of body of water, I mentioned one earlier but never actually made it, so let's go ahead and get working on that. You see, I thought it would be cool to have two different bodies of water and connect them together with a massive underground water tunnel, so that's what I did, starting over near the snowy beach and the taiga biomes, digging out a massive room all the way to the beach biome I just made. Not only is this a pretty neat idea, but it serves as a great way to offer an additional way to traverse through this museum instead of being forced to go a certain way. So once the tunnel was dug out and filled with water, which mind you took almost an hour to do alone, I went through and replaced the floor with a mix of sand and gravel just like in the oceans and went through with bone meal to add a bunch of life with some seagrass. From there, I thought it would be cool to build up a shipwreck. Well, half of it, you see, since that's all I had room for. And finally, placing in a bunch of the coral bits and sea pickles I had collected, this place was looking super cool, probably my favorite part of the build so far. And after building a small bridge to help cross over the water, I was starting to feel more motivated again. Okay, we're finally on the home stretch. I have 5 more biomes left, starting with the desert right here. Ooh, that looks kind of nice actually. Yeah, I like that. And now we'll work our way into the Acacia Biome. At this point, I'm pretty low into the world. I'm all the way down on Y level 15, and if I keep going this low, I'm gonna break into deep slate soon, which would not be good for the next 2 biomes. So instead, I want to go ahead and start expanding things upwards. So I got to work digging and shaping out a massive, tall room where I plan to build a lush cave. Going through and adding multiple different levels for pockets of water and various waterfalls, I was able to capture the true vibe you get when you actually walk in one of these caves. Going back through with all of the clay, moss, and plant life, this place was looking really cool. And the best part about it, which honestly I didn't even plan, was that it led up directly into our final biome, a dripstone cave. This meant that all I had to do was seal off various bits and pieces of it to enclose the biome, and then go back through adding more dripstone to really capture the vibe here. And finally, I noticed that my coordinates here were pretty close to the entrance of the museum, so I started digging a tunnel and found myself right next to the snowy taiga biome. So after shaping out this tunnel some more, I built this small wooden doorway through here to serve as yet another way to go through this museum. And there we go, my friends, all of the biomes have officially been rebuilt. This has been such a grind, honestly. Like, I haven't been on Twitter in at least 7 whole days. What's even going on in the world? I have no idea. Oh, the wild update is out now. Wait a second. The wild update. What is this wild update? Wild update is finally here. Yada yada yada. Once you install it, yada yada yada, your game will feature 2 new biomes. Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me.